Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. We are doing our Wednesday night portal update, okay? Now, producer Matt, make sure you clip this part off with the segment, okay? It is 6:32 Eastern time when I am starting this segment. Stuff will change in a hurry. If this is outdated by the time that you see this, I don't want you to yell at me and say, Torres, that guy already committed. Why are you talking about him? Pay attention. It's 6:32. It's now 6:33. And we're going to talk about Portal Watch, commit watch in the portal on Wednesday, always subject to change. So please be warned, stuff is always subject to change in the portal. By the way, that's why you need to be following CBB Transfers on Twitter, CBB Transfers on Instagram for all your late-breaking portal news. It is now 6:34. Let's get into the news of the moment, which, again, is always subject to change. We are calling this the Commit Watch special because pretty much everybody is on Commit Watch. Let's start with the University of Kentucky. On Tuesday, you got a commitment from Jaden Quaintance. He is a dog. We talked about him. If you missed that segment, please go back and check it out. But the portal moves fast, and it is time to move on to who's next for the Wildcats. And right now, it's looking like a familiar name that I don't know that I thought was going to land at Kentucky may very well land at Kentucky. The name to keep an eye on at Kentucky, Lamar Wilkerson, shooting guard from, what is it, Ashdown, Arkansas, I believe is the name of the town. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just couldn't remember it off the top of my head. Averaged 20.5 points per game, 45% shooting from behind the three-point arc this year. He entered the portal, obviously, pretty early on in the portal, and I think there was a lot of buzz early with the home state Arkansas Razorbacks. I just bring it up because stuff changes in the portal quick. I think Arkansas has prioritized maybe some other guys. And the buzz late Tuesday was that Lamar Wilkerson will eventually be a Wildcat. We'll see if it ends up happening. By the way, credit my buddy Jack Pilgrim, who was all over this one. But I saw a lot of Lamar Wilkerson on Twitter late Tuesday night into Wednesday. As we're recording, nothing has happened. But I'll tell you this, if Kentucky gets him, I think that's essentially the last key piece. And he would give that three-point shooting that this team kind of lacks right now. We talked about them earlier. I love the pieces that have been put together, the toughness of Mo Diabate, the toughness of Jaden Quaintance, the toughness of Jalan Lowe, but you do need some shooting. By the way, I don't even know if I mentioned it in the way too early top 25. Jasper Johnson, Caden Lewis, Malachi Moreno. I don't want to forget the three freshmen, but I just bring it up because you do need a little bit more shooting. It feels like that is Mark Pope's final priority. We'll see what happens. We thought we were on the edge of it. Maybe it happens by the time you watch it. But Lamar Wilkerson, the first name to know in the portal on Commit Watch. Speaking of Commit Watch, this is one people are already talking about the BYU Cougars. And by the way, yes, Torres is Cougar crazy. Everybody knows that. People were talking about the BYU Cougars as if Rob Wright has already committed to BYU. And he may have. But as we're recording, nothing is official yet. And we are waiting on word that Rob Wright, freshman point guard from Baylor, will officially end up a BYU Cougar. For people who didn't watch Baylor, listen, I'm not trying to diminish VJ Edgecombe or Jeremy Roach, but every time I watch him, I'm like, this Rob Wright guy is really good. And I heard late February, early March, there were some teams that were trying to get him in the portal. I don't even know if BYU was one. All I know is with Yegor Demon officially declaring for the draft, Rob Wright entered the portal on Monday. Yegor Demon announced he was going to the NBA draft on Tuesday. And by Tuesday night, it felt like it was just about done that Rob Wright is going to be a BYU Cougar. Always subject to change. Maybe he's committed by the time you listen to this. I'll stop saying that, I promise. But if this kid ends up at BYU, I mean, we are talking about just a dynamic playmaker to put alongside AJ DeBonsa. To me, and Richie Saunders too, obviously, and Keba Keita. Can you imagine the Rob Wright to Keba Keita dunks that we're going to get next year? This kid's, a little bit on the smaller side, 6'1", 6'2", 21 starts this season, 11 points per game as a freshman, and in the Big 12, led Baylor with 4.2 assists per game. Also, pretty good three-point shooter at 35%. I'm just telling you, it's hard for me to imagine BYU not being a top 10 team if Rob Wright commits and Richie Saunders ends up coming back as well. Rob Wright on commit watch at BYU. How about Arkansas? Big pig invasion. The big pigs are hiding right now. There's been no invasion to speak of this offseason. Just mentioned a minute ago, but Adu Theroux and Boogie Flan have both announced that they are officially declared for the draft. They will not be coming back to college. And I think even before Adu announced, you clearly needed bodies in the front court, right? You lost Jonas Adu to graduation. You lose Adu Theroux. And, of course, Big Z transferred to play with his brother, Tomislav, at Illinois. So of your four big guys, three of them are gone. Arkansas is going to be adding pieces over the next couple weeks. Hopefully they get some good news on returnees as well. But I only bring it up because it feels like Nick Pringle with Arkansas is on commit watch. For those of you who are not familiar with Nick Pringle's game, I really like him as a role player. And I'll give John Calipari credit. Not everybody has to be a superstar. Not everybody has to be a five-star. Sometimes you need guys to just do the dirty work. And you look at Nick Pringle, I think that's exactly who he is. He is a guy that started, how about this? 3 schools in 4 years, started at Wofford, goes to Alabama, went to South Carolina this past year, and was really just kind of a bulldog in the paint for South Carolina. 9.5 points per game, 6.5 assists per game. Kind of that low post, almost a Jonas Adu type. He's not super vertical. He's not the most athletic player. But again, if things go to plan, you are going to have stars in the backcourt, Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas. You are going to have stars on the wing in Carter Knox and maybe Billy Richmond, always subject to change, as we keep saying. But you need those low post guys that are willing to do work in the paint. It feels like Nick Pringle is trending towards Arkansas. We'll see if we can get it done. By the way, Malik Ewan from Florida State, we thought he was on commit watch at Arkansas. It has not happened yet. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I just, with Arkansas, listen, the one thing I'll tell Arkansas fans, and I have said it many a time to Arkansas fans, listen, said it a million times. Love Coach Eric Musselman, who, of course, was at Arkansas, went to USC. This is not a shot at him at all. But Eric Musselman operated much differently in the portal and in the offseason than John Calipari. He'd contact a bunch of kids. He'd bring in a bunch of kids. He'd basically put the offer on the table and say, if you don't want it, we're moving on to the next guy. We don't got time to wait. John Calipari will wait as long as he needs for the right people. And so, you saw it last summer. I think Trevin Brazile. Trevin Brazile was the last big piece. He didn't commit till mid-June. I know that. I was on vacation when he committed. I was sitting by a pool in Cabo when he committed. Great trip. I need another trip to Cabo. Anyway, Cal's going to take his time. Cal's not going to rush. And this roster is going to come together at its own pace. But Nick Pringle, I believe, will come off the board. And I believe Arkansas is the X factor there. Last, really not a ton of big names that entered the portal over the course of the last couple of days. By the way, we already did Jaden Quainton's reaction. Ian Jackson, we did a segment on him. Ian Jackson leaves Carolina. Will a Chapel Hill native enter the portal on Wednesday? Jaren Stevenson. Listen, Jaren Stevenson, to me, first of all, the backstory on him, I think everybody remembers, but he was a 5-star in the class of 2024, decided to reclassify. It comes down to Alabama and North Carolina 3 summers ago now, if you include this upcoming summer. But summer 2023 announces he's going to reclassify. It comes down to Bama versus North Carolina. He chooses Bama. It was a big recruiting win for Nate Oates at the time. I thought he showed flashes. Remember, this was a kid that had a great Elite Eight game. They don't get to the Final Four without Jaren Stevenson. Had, I think, 16, 18 points in that Sweet 16, or Elite Eight, 2 years ago. Also kind of just felt like, in my opinion, he was the guy that kind of got lost in the shuffle this year at Alabama. They bring in Cliff Omiori. You got to play him at the 5. Grant Nelson's kind of at the 4. And then they went small with LeBaron Philon, Aiden Holloway, Mark Sears, etc. And so Jaren Stevenson was just the odd guy out. Only averaged 5 points per game. But to me, I think he is a guy that if you put him in the right system, you get him confidence. That's a dude that can average 15 in a power conference. That's a dude that can shoot 36, 37, 38% as a 6'10 dude. And that's a dude that can play in the NBA. So we entered the portal on whatever today is, Wednesday. the early speculation from myself and from others, I think he's a Tar Heel, baby. He's from Chapel Hill. They need guys. They are clearly prioritizing size, athleticism, positional size after seeing what Duke did. I think he ultimately ends up a Tar Heel. I think it's a little early to say for sure. Once you enter the portal, you never know. Also worth noting, North Carolina is expected to have Cannon Catchings, the former BYU freshman, big name freshman, on campus this week. Those are kind of the same guy. So I don't know if Cannon Catchings wants to commit. I don't know what that means. I don't know if Jaron Stevenson commits, what that would mean for Cannon Catchings, but we will see what happens. Jaron Stevenson is officially in the portal as of Wednesday afternoon. By the way, I did see one name enter the portal. By the way, a couple things. One, and you know what? Texas Tech got a commitment. We're going to save it for next segment because I want to talk a little bit about JT Toppin. But also, I did see a name that I think is very interesting to me, and I didn't tell you this, producer Matt, so I apologize. Keyshawn Murphy, who played at Mississippi State this year. He was just that dude at Mississippi State. Mississippi State was really athletic. I thought, didn't shoot the ball well. Kind of remind me of almost like an old school Bob Huggins team. Crazy athletic, defend the rim, rebound well, play tough. They don't shoot the ball well. But Keyshawn Murphy, second leading scorer on that team, 11.7.5 rebounds per game, 1.5 blocks per game. He just entered the portal. That's a dude nobody's talking about now. And that's a dude, let me put it this way. Nobody's talking about him right now. I could see that kid being like an X factor on a Final Four team next year. Like if he went to, I don't even want to put it out in the universe because I don't want anybody to think that I think somebody was tampering, but he could be on any team and could just have a 8-point, 11 rebound, 4 block game in an Elite Eight to go to a Final Four for somebody next year. So keep an eye on him. I think he is a very good player. 2 quick things. One, make sure you're following the CBB Transfers account on Twitter and Instagram, CBB Transfers on Twitter and Instagram, because at the end of the day, to me, I believe that the portal is not slowing down. Like I've said a few times, I think schools, there are too many schools that need too many spots filled. Remember, by the way, the portal now has 20% less players because there's no fifth-year seniors. That extra COVID year is gone. So all these schools need players, and there's not enough good players in the portal. So I think we're going to see more activity over these next couple days. CBB Transfers on Twitter, CBB Transfers on Instagram. Make sure you're following. And yeah, that's your big portal coverage for now.